Not only have myths and folklore been associated with cats for hundreds of years, but they've also been implicated in crimes. Sometimes they were the actual culprits, while in other strange cases, criminals attempted to falsely accuse cats. Welcome, I am Ahmed Mahmoud. In the summer of 2013, in the state of Pennsylvania, USA, James Ansney took a toy gun, stole a car, and used it to rob a bank. He entered, held the security at gunpoint, and pulled off two slick moves from action movies. Despite his efforts, he only managed to escape with $1,500 from the bank teller. However, during his hasty getaway, part of the money fell, leaving him with just $900. As he drove away, the police pursued him, and during the chase, he accidentally crashed into a police car. In the end, he was apprehended. Until now, an armed bank robbery has occurred, and there haven't been many problems. Some people take risks and try to imitate actions from movies before regretting their luck. What's truly bizarre about this incident is that when questioned, James claimed he had committed the crime against his will. When asked who had forced him, he replied, "My cat orchestrated the whole thing." Apparently, he believed his cat was communicating with him, coercing him into theft. After a psychological evaluation, he received a reduced sentence of 2.5 years in prison. It makes you wonder, was he genuinely mentally ill, or did he simply fail to deceive the judge and medical team? Share your thoughts in the comments, and while you're at it, give us a like. It helps us reach more people. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. Let's get back to our discussion. In May 2013, Brett Nash, a 46-year-old man, devised a diabolical plan to rob a bank. The plan would begin with his wife's participation and end by framing the cat. The plan was as follows. Nash was monitoring a lawyer who lived alone, and he asked his wife to lure the lawyer out of his house before Nash and an accomplice would assault him and force him into their car. They would then tie a fake bomb around his waist and force him to rob a bank on their behalf. According to the plan, after receiving the money from him, they would take him back to his house, force him to submerge himself in his bathtub filled to the brim with water, and finally, they would drop an electrical device into the water to electrocute and kill him. In other words, they were both robbers and professional killers. To make the incident appear as an accident, they would bring the lawyer's cat and lock it in the bathroom with him, making it seem as if the cat had knocked the electrical device into the water, causing the man's death. Although the plan seemed foolproof, it fortunately was never carried out. Nash's wife exposed him by recording him as he detailed the plan to her over the phone and handed the recordings to the police. In the end, Brett Nash was sentenced to 20 years in prison, and the cat was spared from being framed for the crime. One of the strangest crimes in which cats were accused is sucking the souls of children. This story can be considered more of a fairy tale, but the problem is that an incident occurred that made this idea grow in people's minds and helped spread it widely. The English newspaper, the Annual Register, reported in 1791 about a strange incident near the British city of Plymouth. According to the newspaper, the incident resulted in the death of a child after a cat supposedly sucked the child's breath until he died. Despite there being no evidence to support the truth of this claim, the story began to be retold in various versions over the years. The bizarre accusation against cats persisted until the early 20th century. Unlike myths and attempts to frame cats, this time the cat is 100% guilty. The cat, Speedy, was accustomed to moving swiftly around the neighborhood where its owner lived, stealing anything it found in the neighbor's gardens and bringing it back to its owner's house. Speedy would steal clothes, balls, and anything else it could grab. After noticing this, the owner didn't know how to handle the situation, or even how to return the stolen items to their owners, especially since he had no idea who the items belonged to. So, he decided to collect everything Speedy stole and put it in his garage. He hung a sign that read, "If anyone is missing any belongings, come look for them at my place. It's likely that Speedy the Cat stole them." In 2012, a severed human body part was found wrapped in a curtain and dumped at a resort in Portsmouth, UK. After investigations, it was discovered that the body part belonged to a man named David Guy. However, the detectives found no clues about the killer, no fingerprints, no DNA, nothing. The only thing they found was a cat hair on the curtain that the body was wrapped in. In the UK, there is a small database that collects the DNA of cats. Using this database and the hair they found, they traced it back to the cat and its owner. The cat, named Tinker, belonged to a British man named David Hilder. Through interrogating Hilder, they found evidence confirming his involvement in the crime. Thus, Tinker helped solve the crime and identify the killer. Interestingly, if Tinker were a human, he would have been tried as an accomplice in the crime, even if all he did was watch the murder take place. In southwestern Britain, in the town of Swindon, lives a strange cat named Frankie. Frankie has a habit of stealing, but not just any stealing. He specializes in stealing toys, and specific types of toys at that. Julie Bishop, Frankie's owner, would wake up every morning to find that Frankie's collection of toys had grown. Not only that, but the new toys were identical to the ones he already had. The situation became so bizarre that people thought Frankie had superpowers and was cloning the toys. In reality, Frankie was sneaking into neighbors' homes and stealing toys that resembled his own. Julie said Frankie was so skilled that she could be away from him for just 10 to 15 minutes, and he would come back with a new toy. By 2007, he had brought home 35 toys, including small teddy bears and various animal-shaped toys, all of them looking alike. American Michael Paul, a 48-year-old trucker, was facing financial difficulties with his trucking business, and it seemed his business paperwork was not in order. When he was informed that the U.S. Department of Transportation would audit him, he decided to destroy any evidence or documents that could incriminate him. Since he kept his business papers at home, Paul devised a plan to burn his apartment with the papers in it. In 2016, Paul scattered his documents in the living room as if he were reviewing them, bought a highly dry Christmas tree, decorated it with highly flammable ornaments, and to avoid suspicion, adopted a cat and left it alone in the house with the tree. He then watched from outside. His plan worked. The cat played with the tree until it knocked it over, igniting a fire. When Paul saw smoke coming from the apartment, he called the police, claiming the cat was responsible. However, firefighters arrived faster than he expected and saved the apartment, the cat, and the scattered papers. Paul was arrested for arson, while the cat was cleared of any wrongdoing. Whether you have a pet or not, most of us struggle with disappearing socks, usually losing just one of the pair. This problem that we face in our homes is experienced by an entire neighborhood in the UK. Henry, a cat, has a habit of stealing single socks from the homes around him. According to his owner, Louise Brandon, Henry has stolen over 57 individual socks, none of them matching. That's it for now, and don't forget to leave your suggestions for future episodes in the comments below the video. Most of the episodes we create now are based on your comments. Thanks for watching. See you. Goodbye.